Hey pals, it's Tyler here, and I'm at New York Comic Con, and I'm here with writer extraordinaire Stephanie Phillips.
Awesome.
Hi, how are you? How's your con going so far?
It's great. Yeah,
Great.
It's really fun. I love this show.
Yeah, New York Comic Con's a special beast. But speaking of special beasts, what about the Phoenix at Marvel Comics? You're the writer of Phoenix during the From the Ashes era. What is that like doing? One of the From the Ashes X-Men books, especially a book about Jean Grey, kind of setting course on her by herself.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that I wanted to see as a reader, so when it was proposed to me as a writer, I was like, this seems perfect. It's like, I wanted to see this. I wanted Jean to have her own solo and a cosmic solo, because Phoenix Force really seems like it necessitated that kind of format and storytelling. So to be the one to helm it is a pretty big honor, and something that I feel I'm just like really glad that the editor kind of saw a good connection between me and Jean, because it feels like the more I write her, the more I know this person and this character, and the more I can bring her to life. So it's been a great book to work on.
Yeah, and then Jean's a woman kind of tied to a reputation that she has.
Yeah.
And then was it your decision to set her in space? At that point? No. Okay.
So that was already, Marvel said we want this to be a cosmic story. I thought that was a really interesting thing to slot into. Like, I saw what the other X books were going to be, and kind of seeing where Jean fit into that, I thought was even more interesting. I was like, oh, we're kind of taking a swing to do something that I feel like should have always been done with Jean. And I think it fits really well into the line of books too.
Yeah, and as a reader, I mean, like, Jean sometimes is just a little too tied to Cyclops or Wolverine or Professor X.
Right.
So her kind of setting a course for herself has been refreshing to kind of have her live her own life and explore who she is. So I'm really enjoying that. But you also get to play with some of the cool cosmic characters.
Yes.
And is there anything that's really like that you really were happy to kind of play with?
Corsair was my first ask.
Sure.
I mean, in a book that's really big and cosmic, I think not losing the human Jean Grey is important, and I wanted to kind of set a tone immediately, which is Jean is still a woman. She's a married woman. She has family dynamics to deal with, and she has this very weird, outgoing father-in-law who happens to be a space pirate. And I was like, how are we not going to have Corsair in this, even briefly? Especially as we ramp up to a lot of the bigger cosmic stuff. So I wanted to have him kind of slot in early before we got to some of those things that we kind of teased, like Eternity and Thanos. It's like, I think seeing Corsair in that mix is still fun, but I like the kind of dynamic of where we got him in the story.
There's definitely a ramp up. I mean, we've already gotten Gore the God Butcher, which was awesome to see him again.
I really love that when I pitch the things that I wanted to bring into the book, the reception from editorial has been like, yes, 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 especially Gore, which I was like, I wasn't sure how they would kind of feel about that pitch or my ask for that character, and they were all thumbs up, like, yes, Gore, and then I asked for Thanos, and it was like, yes, Thanos. So,
awesome.
The kind of deeper cut of the Dark Gods was also one that I was really excited to get to bring in, and I've seen a few people online commenting about, the history of the Dark Gods and their relationship with Asgard, which it's cool to see people kind of taking the history of those characters and comparing it to what we're doing now as well.
Yeah, but speaking of the Dark Gods, Jean, as the Phoenix, in her way, is godlike.
Yes.
And how is it writing a character that's so strong?
Right.
That it's, I in my head, I would imagine it could be tricky to write her in situations where she has to struggle because she's so strong.
I think a lot of those struggles come from the human side, from Jean not wanting to lose Jean, because Jean is the Phoenix, and if you are this one big cosmic entity, there's something really important about still trying to feed into your humanity and say, I'm really happy with the human elements, even the flaws. So how do we still keep that and do this balancing act inside of myself between the cosmic and the human, being a married woman with a father-in-law in space, and also this cosmic force that goes to talk to eternity and deals with these giant cosmic issues. So there's kind of a balance, and we've seen one side of the scale a lot, and it's going to start tipping. I think readers have started to see there's a tipping point that's happening now where Jean has to reconcile. She can't stay so firmly in this one little human sphere. There are bigger issues that her specific brand of hero will need to deal with, and she's going to have to kind of tip those scales in the other direction. So
that's awesome. But
yeah.
Speaking of the idea of balancing a godlike aspect and the humanity. You also read one of my favorite books right now, Grimm from Boom with Flaviano, which I've been loving so far.
Thank
so
you.
that there's kind of a shared thread there in a way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. I feel like Grimm is kind of like my comic book baby. It's it was my first creator-owned ongoing that kind of took off, and I've been very excited about it. Working with Flaviano is fantastic. We've worked together for going on almost, I think, 4 years now with this same art team. There's never been a fill-in artist, fill-in issue. It has all been myself, Tom Napolitano on letters, Rico Renzi on colors, and Flaviano on art. So, I'm really proud of that one. But like you said, it's almost like the dualism of like Phoenix up in space and Grimm being the underworld is 2 fun books to write.
What's the difference writing creator-owned compared to like a big 2? Like I just read issue 20, which fantastic issue.
Thank you.
There's a Sigmund Freud discussion there that you probably can't have in X-Men as direct. But I got to assume there's some differences in writing it. Yeah.
Yes. I don't think we could have pegging in any of the Marvel comics I write. That is something that in Grimm. I didn't know that would fit into the Grimm universe either, and hey, here we are. So, welcome to my book.
I mean, I saw that shared door between Cyclops, Jean, and Wolverine, so something's going on.
I mean, she does say their psychic connection is very intimate, so do with that what you will.
But that must be like a little more freeing to write creator-owned in a way.
Yeah, both of them are very creatively fulfilling. They're just 2 very different types of creativity.
Sure.
Like sometimes with Marvel, there are some, not constraints, but just kind of, here's something we want you to do. We want Jean to be in space, or we want this dynamic. We want to see this character come in. And it's my job to work with those tools that I'm given. And then sometimes the scary thing is with the creator-owned, you're not given any tools. I make them up.
Sure.
So sometimes you get into the Grimm universe and it's like, well, who made this rule? And it's like, oh, I did, because I'm an idiot. Why did I do that 15 issues ago? And I can only blame myself. I cannot blame anybody but me. So it's just very different. But I like both. I like being able to balance creator-owns and the Marvel work I do.
Yeah, well, Grimm, I always recommend Grimm to anyone who's
Appreciate
like, hey, what should I read right now? It's Grimm.
Thank you.
It's Grimm. So check out Grimm if you can. And Stephanie, thank you for this.
Thank you so much.
This has
Appreciate
been great.
it.
I hope you have a good final day of the con.
I will.
And
with lots of coffee.
Yeah, and I hope that the Monday after is not crazy and nice and relaxing.
Yes.
So, all right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Stay tuned for everything else we have from the con. Sean and Marco have been doing stuff. But otherwise, we'll see you, pals. Thanks.